So today I'm doing a special list, and these are my top 11 favorite TV shows of all time. And I have a whole bunch of honorable mentions I'm going to list off really quickly. And I really thought about this a lot, this list. I went over and over and over. But I have on my honorable mentions, I have The Golden Girls, Downton Abbey, Columbo, Cosby Show, Murder, She Wrote, Twilight Zone, Reba, The Goldbergs, X-Files, Mission Impossible, Duck Dynasty, Star Wars Rebels, Big Bang Theory, Arrested Development, The Middle, and sadly, How I Met Your Mother. I love How I Met Your Mother for really the first 6 seasons, and I still watched it. The last 3 seasons were a lot more rough, although there were some good episodes. But unfortunately, that finale just really ruined it for me, and I just have a hard time watching the show. And another one, Arrested Development, I loved. And the new Netflix season was so awful. It was so boring. I literally fell asleep watching almost every episode. I thought it was awful. So that took it down a notch for me. So these are my top 11 favorite TV shows of all time. So here you go. Number 11, I have 30 for 30, and this is the documentary series that is put out by ESPN. This is a great series about people, not just about sports. If you have no interest in sports, I think you could really like this series of documentaries. It's just interesting to hear about our culture through the lens of sports, but you get to, it's kind of like Hoop Dreams is not really about basketball, it's about these men, and most of these shorts and longer features are about people. They're not about sports, and so I just think they're so well done, they're so interesting, and if you haven't seen any of them, definitely give some a watch. Number 10, I have ER. ER, I think, is a rare show that was able to sustain itself on multiple casts. I still liked the later seasons. I own them all on DVD. I like watching them. I think they don't have the medical stuff isn't too graphic like some shows, and the acting is just on point in every season, in my opinion, and it's just so well written. It's got such great characters. I think the way they balance the home and work is just so much more satisfying than most other medical shows, which can be very, very fluffy and very unrealistic. But ER is much better as far as containing the soapy elements. So 9, I have Jeeves and Wooster, and this was a show with Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, and Hugh Laurie basically plays this guy Wooster, Bertie Wooster, who is this foppish, ridiculous gentleman, and Jeeves is his valet who keeps him in line, and they are so funny together, and the writing is really good, and it's just a great show. Number 8 on my list is Boy Meets World. Boy Meets World is super campy and super cheesy, but I just, it's got its heart in the right place, and it's so winning, and it's so sweet, and I really like the characters. I like the romance. They basically grew up with me, so it's a huge nostalgia thing. I definitely will own to that with this one. And I really like some of the waiter issues that they did handle on the show, and that they took making something for young adults and making something for children seriously, and it's not like a show like Good Burger or something like that, which is just silly, silly show. This show did try to deal with some weightier topics, and I love it. I love the chemistry between all of the actors, and I grew up with it. They were kind of going to high school when I was going to high school. They went to college when I was going to college, and so that's why it's on the list. Number 7, I have The Office. This is one of the shows that made me laugh the hardest, especially the first 2 seasons. Season 2, I think, is pretty much perfect. I love every episode in that season, whether it's the fire or the injury, or Dwight's speech is one of my favorites, when he gets the speech from Mussolini and he reads it in front of the paper convention, and he's like, "We must control the motherland," and everybody's cheering, and that was hilarious. I love the romance between Jim and Pam, and it's just a great show. And I do think it overstayed its welcome, but I didn't think any of the last seasons were as bad as, say, the last seasons of How I Met Your Mother, and the finale was really good. So that's why it makes my list. For 6, I have The Nanny, and this is probably a unique pick. That a lot of other people don't like this show because they think that Fran is annoying. I like Fran Drescher. I just find her charming. I like the chemistry between Maxwell Sheffield and Fran Fine. I think that the comedy is actually really well done. It's like a classic romantic comedy that the tension builds between the two of them. And I like the way that she involved her Jewish culture. And I like all the cameos they were able to get. And it just makes me laugh. And it's sweet. And I like the romance. For 5, I have The Mary Tyler Moore Show. This is a show that is consistently funny. It's consistently sweet. And it has great chemistry between all of the leads. I particularly like it. I think it's starting season 3 when Betty White comes on as Sue Ann Nevins, and she is hilarious. Every scene she's in, she makes me laugh. She plays this happy homemaker on TV, but she's really like this vixen kind of in real life, and she's really catty and really, but it's got such great performances. Cloris Leachman, Ed Asner is on there. Valerie Harper as Rhoda. You really do feel like these people are friends. I really like Murray. I really like Ted Baxter. It's hilarious. It did take on some weightier topics at the time. They have episodes about homosexuality, the episodes about being a single mom. They have, in the way that it's sort of tackled, feminism is sometimes very interesting and groundbreaking, and it's still just incredibly funny. And for 4, I have 24. And 24 was on for, I guess, technically 9 seasons now, with the 24 Live Another Day or Die Another Day, whatever it was called. And this, of course, is about Jack Bauer, and the conceit is this is a day, and each episode is 1 hour in the day, and it stretches credulity that all of this could happen in one day, but the way that they make it work, it works, and they were so good about creating these cliffhangers so that you didn't know what was going to happen next, and you just couldn't wait to get to the next week so that you could find out how Jack Bauer was going to make everything right. And all of the different actors, I thought they were really good. I particularly liked season 5 when they got Jean Smart in there as the first lady. She is so good. And the way that they handled her mental illness, both in season 5 and season 6, I thought was just great. I really liked Cherry Jones in later seasons as the president. She was really good. Kiefer Sutherland is so appealing as Jack Bauer and as the protagonist. And I think they also were willing to sort of examine different issues like the treatment of prisoners, and do you torture, do you use methods, what is right and what is wrong, if you have the right reasons, you're trying to get the right information out of people, so they were willing to sort of talk about some of these issues, and it's just super entertaining and exciting and well done. I have Over the Garden Wall, and this was the amazing series done by Patrick McHale. These 2 boys that go to this mysterious world. They get lost in this mysterious world called The Unknown, and they don't know how to get out, and so they're sort of following different clues, and along the way, there's these 10-minute episodes where some of them are scary, some of them are funny, some of them are sweet. The animation is amazing. The music is incredible. And it's just one of the most original, artistic, beautiful things I've ever seen, whether movie or TV. So it had to make this list, even though it's only those 10 episodes and it's more of a mini series than an actual show, but it is so great. So my second favorite show of all time is Survivor. And a lot of people might think, oh, that's just a stupid reality show. But it's actually not. It's actually really interesting to see why people make the decisions that they make and why people form different bonds and see how people behave. And what's amazing to me is now we're on season 32, and literally every season is different. There's not one strategy that you could say that this is the way to win Survivor. There's many different ways to win Survivor, and each win is a little bit different, except for There is one lady who's won twice, but even that, like, they're a little bit different each way she won. But everybody has their different strategies that work for them, and seeing that kind of play out is so interesting to me. And I guess I met a lot of the survivors. I'm really involved in the survivor community as far as the podcasting and other things. Like, I love listening to those podcasts. So from Rob has a podcast, and I just think it's fascinating, and so entertaining. So Survivor gets number 2 on my list. So my favorite show of all time is The Simpsons. And The Simpsons has basically been around almost my whole life. It started when I was 8 years old, and it is still going on. Now, you could say that it's outworn its welcome, but I still think that it is actually still pretty funny. I still like it. It's gotten a little bit more visually creative and inventive over the last few years, I feel like. It hasn't been quite as popular as it once was, that they take a little bit more creative risk sometimes with the visuals and the artistry and everything. But as far as my favorites, it's definitely like the first 10 seasons probably are my favorite. First 7 are especially good, and it's just so funny, and it's something that I watched with my brother, and we don't have a whole lot in common, but that was something that we both always liked, and so that had some meaning for me, and it was just something that really made me so happy in my life. And I love the animation. I think it is beautiful, and so from that reason alone, it's just inspired so much joy in my life that it had to be my favorite. So Simpsons is my favorite. So that's my top 10. That's my top 11 list. Let me know what you think of what would be your favorites, and what you think of my list if you've seen any of these shows. So thanks so much. There's a lot of good shows out there, and I will talk to you later.